Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck, aka your worst nightmare. Mack Truck.
Good afternoon, good morning, welcome. Okay, you are listening, watching, viewing the TheeMackTruckpod. Okay, on the Underknown Network. Listen, we were supposed to go on at 12:30, and I totally understand. So I appreciate you guys for being patient with me, trying to get reacclimated to an old system and getting everything, trying to figure out. I had some technical difficulties, but nonetheless, we're here with you. My name's Mack Truck. Welcome in if you're just joining us here, new to the Underknown Network, but I know the foundationary portions of all of it. Okay, founding member here for the Mack Truck podcast, presented to you by TikTok Live as well as the Underknown Network. Okay, we don't have a lot on the schedule today. Just so you guys know, we are here for a good time, not a long time. Huge shout out to the network. Shout out Underknown Network. I see you guys over here on the TikTok sphere, on the map out here. Welcome in. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for joining us over here on the StreamYard stream. Okay, finally got it together. So we got a lot to talk about, but in a short amount of time, or a little to talk about in some amount of time, depends on how you want to look at it. So today we're going to talk about the opening day festivities for the Women's Pro Baseball League opening day, which is played in Chicago, Illinois. So we'll get to that. Also going to go stick around the diamond and kind of talk about this Tarik Skbual trade to the Los Angeles Dodgers as if they need any other firepower. We're going to get to that. Also going to take a trip over to the gridiron. Okay. Going to talk about some NFL contracts, some trades, some disputes, all of the things. So we are going to hop into it. But first, I need you guys to understand that you're here with me on the Underknown Network now. Okay. All things Underknown. If you're not on the network, if you're not following the network, you don't see the network, I need you to do that. Need you to hop on board with everything we got going on over here. Like I said, we're finally here, guys. I'm excited. It's been a long process. It's been a long process, but just more or less because I've had some things going on, family life just be throwing a wrench in you. So it's going to be interesting. We're also going to talk about some hardwood action on the WNBA sphere as far as what teams look like after the All-Star break. Going to chat about Olivia Miles as well, because I don't know how she's not on the candidates list for the MVP for the WNBA. And contrary to popular belief, okay, I absolutely believe she needs to be on that list along with everybody else that has been mentioned in the WNBA MVP conversation. So thank you for joining. So let's get started. We're going to hang over in NFL land here, specifically training camp, and specifically the fact that Deebo Samuel is a San Francisco 49er yet again. For those of you who don't remember, Deebo Samuel played for the San Francisco 49ers a couple years ago. Had Brandon Ayuk, Juwan Jennings, obviously George Kittle, Kyle Juszczyk, Brock Purdy, Mac Jones, and Christian McCaffrey. Got traded away. Okay, spent a year or two in Washington, all the things. Now he's back. I believe he signed a 1-year, $5 million contract. I could be off with a little bit of the numbers, but nonetheless, he is back in the Cardinal and Gold with the San Francisco 49ers. And I knew this was going to happen. I can tell you that I feel like it should have happened earlier. And just because we're kind of sticking into the realm of the San Francisco 49ers. The San Francisco 49ers are repowering, guys. Remember, they lost George Kittle last year to an Achilles injury. They also lost Fred Warner to, I believe, a shattered ankle or ACL. Then we had this entire saga and issue with Brandon Ayuk and the fact that we don't know if he's going to play football. We don't know where he's going to play football. Obviously, if you've been following this Brandon Ayuk and this San Francisco 49ers saga throughout training camp and all the things, you will know that we haven't clearly heard or seen the last of um, Brandon Ayuk, especially if you follow his Instagram pages, all of the things. Um, and it's interesting that he I don't the way I feel like I should be able to explain what Brandon Ayuk is going through. I feel like should be a little bit easier than it is, but obviously Brandon Ayuk himself is still a very high level wide receiver. It's just what team is gonna take him with all of the all the rigmarole and all the crazy things he's done, like driving past Levi Stadium um, in 100 degree weather at 100 degrees or 100 miles an hour rather, like just and it's things like that. And then he gets into that dispute or tiff with Jane Daniels and talking about his Jane Daniels mom, because for those of you who don't know, Jane Daniels mom is his manager, which is there's absolutely nothing wrong with that if you're in the world of sports. So having a momager, as they call it, is not a bad thing. But my question is why did it take the 49ers so long to realize that they're gonna need another wide receiver? Like, yes, you added Mike Evans, but you can't just throw to Mike Evans every play, every snap, especially because of how impactful Mike Evans has been, especially with the Buccaneers, all the things, has himself a ring with Tom Brady, Tristan Wirfs, everybody down there. So Mike Evans obviously is one of the biggest impact players to come into this 49ers NFL camp this season. But like I said, you still have George Kittle who's healing, and we're not sure if he's going to start week one. If he does start week one, then it kind of changes everything, because even though George Kittle is a tight end, he's a big tight end. He also is a blocking, receiving tight end. Nonetheless, he's not just a straight stationary blocking tight end, and I don't know who really uses those types of tight ends in the NFL anymore. Either way, everything keeps getting interesting outside of 49ers camp, especially with the fact that Ricky Pearsall, their first round draft pick as of last season, now is hurt for the entire rest of the season. And I don't believe we ever actually got the details on that. I don't think we ever got the details on the actual injury for Ricky Pearsall, but it does kind of leave the question. If you guys again have been following kind of the NFL training camp and this story altogether, as far as Ricky Pearsall, and I can't quite say the words on this platform, but if you're watching me on the other side over here, obviously we remember that he got shot in the middle of training camp last year, type thing. So he hasn't really been able to show the consistency that the 49ers expect, which I feel like in some part is okay because he got shot last year, but also in the same respect, it's a new training camp, new year, and they say like the best ability is availability. So if you're not available to play, I can't use you as an asset that I picked. So it's very it's very one-sided. It's very, I don't want to say wishy-washy, but it's definitely a saga over in 49er land. Obviously, we have Brock Purdy back at the helms, Christian McCaffrey back for another healthy season. I really want to know where some 49ers fans stand when it comes to the realm of their training camp and where they think they're going to align in terms of the division of, or the conference rather, of the NFC. So questions lie, all of the things lie. Football is a thing. Football is back. I don't think we need to sit here and just, really ponder that thought. Either way, kind of still moving around here in the NFL lands of training camp and such. Moving to Minnesota. Obviously, if you've been paying attention to the Minnesota training camps and everything and off seasons, okay, the Minnesota Vikings also are kind of in that very same boat as the 49ers as far as seeing who's returning. Obviously, they still have the Jetta, Justin Jefferson, still have Jordan Addison, okay, still have TJ Hawkinson, all the things, Aaron Jones Sr., all the things. What they don't quite have solidified is the quarterback situation. Obviously, again, if you've been paying attention to training camp thus far and the offseason, you know that there's this really cool guy named Kyler Murray who currently is in a quarterback competition for the number one starting spot over in Viking land. over in Minneapolis. Kyler Murray versus JJ McCarthy for that number one quarterback spot. And obviously, like, there's nuances with the competition. There's nuances, with adding new pieces to an new offense, or new to them offense, I should say. And obviously there was like press conferences and things before OTAs, all the things. So the only thing that I have a question on is, when are they going to make a decision? Do we think that Minnesota needs to make a decision now? Like, do we need to have all the answers set up before the Hall of Fame game? Like, what does that look like? And I see some comments over here on the other feed. Big shout out to On the Map out here with the comments. Let's go, Underknown. You already know. Comment about the 49ers. I've heard cautious optimism from 49ers fans. See, I also have found some pretty good optimism from a lot of 49ers fans just in general. 49ers fans are as passionate as they come, just like Minnesota fans. So everything's looking up in the world of 49er land. I think it'll be better if they can figure out if George Kittle is going to be ready to go for week 1. I also think it'll be a better estimation for the Minnesota Vikings if they can kind of try to solidify who's going to be taking the a lot of the number one primary stats. So it's all going to be interesting here on the Mack Truck podcast as we obviously wait to unfold kickoff for the NFL, whether it's preseason or whether it's regular season. Got some more comments here. If it's an actual competition, let it go into the preseason a little bit, but they would definitely benefit from knowing sooner than, yeah, exactly. They definitely would benefit knowing sooner rather than later. I feel like it's kind of the same thing with the 49ers in terms of that as well. Kind of figure out who's going to be placed where as far as your veteranship. Obviously, with the draft and the rookies, you are finding, trying to find your footing, trying to figure out where all your new pieces are going to fit, where your old pieces are going to fit. How do you recover from kind of losing Ricky Pearsall if you're 49ers in the 49ers organization, or better yet, if you're a fan, because now you have to try to figure out if you had him on your fantasy league, all the things. So there's still a lot to uncover in terms of those two teams, but more specifically for the Minnesota Vikings. I think the biggest thing with them is is for Kevin OC and the offense to really figure out what quarterback's going to fit the system the best. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of JJ McCarthy. So far, JJ McCarthy has also not fared very well. And just like I said before, the best ability is availability. And if you are not available to play, then I can't use you as an asset. It's just the way the cookie crumbles. I hate to be the unfortunate bearer of bad news here, but that's the rules of the game. The best ability is availability. And if you are not available, I cannot play you. If you're not available and I need to win games, and you can't do that, I have to play or start somebody else. And that goes for every position, not just the quarterback, because we are specifically talking about the Minnesota Vikings and the quarterback country. And I can't even call it a controversy or controversy, however y'all want to say that. But it seems like to me, in my honest estimation, obviously Kyler Murray has been in the league for 7 years. Okay, 7 going on 8 years now. Kyler Murray has been in the league. He's been a veteran of the league. Obviously got drafted to the Arizona Cardinals. Had a pretty decent start to a season, then tore his ACL and was out most of the past couple seasons. So now being a free agent and having signed a contract with Minnesota, and going to hang out for a full season with the quarterback guru that is Kevin OC. Now lies the question: was wasting the first round pick that they had in 2024 with JJ McCarthy a bust? And I think it's too early to call that, but if you're already in JJ McCarthy's now second or third season, and you brought in a quarterback, is kind of disrespectful. But the Minnesota Vikings are in a win now situation. You have a lot of things locked up. You have your defense pretty much locked up for the most part. You got moving pieces back on your offense. You got a running game. You even have an offensive line, which is also something you struggled with when Sam Darnold was there. But having Kevin OC and quarterbacks like Sam Darnold come into resurge their careers, I believe, is where Kyler Murray personally needs to be, because he's still an elite quarterback out here, guys. Let's just remember, he's still an elite quarterback in the NFL. He just doesn't have a lot to show for it. He has more injuries and downtime than it seems like he does actual meaningful film within the past, I'd say, season and a half, 2 seasons. So we'll see what the quarterback situation looks like over in Minnesota. We're kind of going to hop over to Cleveland with this Deshaun Watson and Shedeur Sanders saga as well. As we all know, the Cleveland Browns this season traded their defensive end sack leader in Myles Garrett, who now plays for the Los Angeles Rams, and hopefully we'll be playing next to Aaron Donald. We'll get to them here in just a little bit. But with training camp now being here, we're only about, I believe, actually 4 physical days of training camp. I think the quarterback situation in Cleveland is probably the most interesting, just for the plain fact is Cleveland has spent all this money on Deshaun Watson, right? He has been hurt the past 2 seasons straight since getting hurt. They have invested and spent a lot of money on Deshaun Watson. And now at this point lies the question, do you keep your faith and use the person that you have invested in all this money, or are you giving the 2 second-year quarterbacks chances to have those first team repetitions? Now, obviously, if you're listening to training camps, watching training camps, all the things, all the coverage, you're knowing that they're out here really trying to put the pieces together. I mean, Deion Sanders was just at camp, obviously Shedeur Sanders' father, we know that. We've also seen Dillon Gabriel get some snaps with first team. So it seems like they've got a little bit of a plan and an active competition. If I personally had to pick, I think logically you start Deshaun Watson, but he's kind of on a short string. I don't know what that short string would necessarily look like, but he's definitely on a short string in terms of how much of a leash he has. I mean, because Shedeur Sanders has been there last year, seen the field. He got some of those game time reps. Dillon Gabriel also to an extent. But at one point, the Cleveland Browns had 6 quarterbacks on their roster last season. They had Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Dillon Gabriel, and Joe Flacco until he got shipped out again. So the Cleveland Browns historically over the past couple seasons have not had good luck with quarterbacks just because Deshaun Watson can't stay injured or can't stay out of the courtroom. Shedeur Sanders was a projected first round, dropped a 5th round pick when they got him, and just it's kind of all over the place. So I'm real interested to see. You still have your pieces over there as far as Quinion Junkins. You also still have Jerry Jeudy over there as well. So it's going to be interesting to see who goes where and who does what in terms of the Cleveland Browns camp. Now we're going to move over into the Oxnard area, better known for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, the Dallas Cowboys obviously are the Dallas Cowboys in terms of the interesting fandom. And I say here and roll my eyes because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan and I don't necessarily indulge in my own fan base. But we haven't rather seen and heard a lot from the Dallas Cowboys training camp, which I think is rather abnormal, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. I think not hearing much from the Dallas Cowboys camp is weird because in some way, shape, or form, we always try to find some way to be relevant, even when it's just training camp. Like they tried to make a story of Dak Prescott wearing a Dallas Cowboys Super Bowl championship t-shirt. Like they're trying. There's so many weird narratives to come out of the very little that has been said in terms of the Dallas Cowboys training camp. Now, obviously, the biggest thing for Dallas this past season was really the defense. The defense started to get some consistency once we started being able to plug the middle with Kenny Brooks, Solomon Thomas, and Quinnen Williams. Now we finally have some backspace filled in terms of Caleb Downs being drafted for first round, number 11 or 12, I believe. Okay, also got Malachi Lords from the University of Miami. So we've picked up pieces. I just wish personally we would have thought about doing it last year when we had the chance after obviously trading away Micah Parsons to the Green Bay Packers for some first round and second round picks in future drafts and Kenny Brooks. So I think it's very just abnormal not to hear anything, and not even hearing anything in general from the Dallas Cowboys camp. It's more or less there's so far been nothing negative coming out of the Dallas Cowboys camp. So I don't know if Brian Schottenheimer has just finally, taken the reins, like, listen, we're here to focus on training camp. We're here to focus to get ready into the season, all the things. So for me, I'm just as a Dallas fan, I have a lot of my own expectations. Like, let's win more than 7 games and let's finish out games. Let's not get complacent. That was a big issue last season and the season before, not making the playoffs both seasons and having enough firepower on offense to do that. And kind of just going around to some comments here, and I see you guys. Thank you for joining me, Mac Truck in the morning ish. We were supposed to start about an hour ago, but had some difficulties. But I'm glad that you guys are here with me on the sphere that is the Underknown Network. And I appreciate it. Listen, and right now, when you guys go to inmybag.bigcartel.com and say 15% off at checkout when you enter the code word truck for all things Mac Truck apparel and all things In My Bag apparel as well. And I see some comments over here. What's up, Tycoon Sports? How we doing? Thank you for joining me here on Mac Truck in the morning. Got some comments over here on the Facebook feed regarding the Browns room. Nigel Brown, the quarterback room is unmitigated disaster of a mess, and it's all the GM and owner's fault. I absolutely agree with you. Why do we have so many quarterbacks on the salary cap, and why do we need so many quarterbacks? I get having a practice team quarterback, and a couple backups. I understand that, but you're wasting cap space with people you're not actually going to give a chance to play. More comments from Mr. Brown. The Cowboys are dramatically frustrating. They could go 11-6 and win the East, or it's just easily go 6-11 and finish fourth. Yeah. There's no it's always a gray area with the Dallas Cowboys. It's never just cut and dry like it is and it has been for a lot of other teams. It doesn't make any sense to me. Either way, we're here talking sports here on the Underknown Network. Again, I'm so excited to be here with y'all. We're only here for a little bit longer, so we're going to move into the next portion of our show. That is the WNBA. Okay, listen. Obviously, it's WNBA season, and if you guys have followed me and followed my show for a while, you know that I cover women's sports as well. That's what we do here. We cover all sports, women's sports, competitive sports, Olympic sports, power structures of sports. It's what we're here to talk about. Okay, it is WNBA season. In fact, the All-Star break just ended a couple days ago. And I want to know from you guys, if you follow the WNBA, if you follow, or if you have a team or you just have a player, what are your thoughts? Who do you think should be currently on the MVP list for the WNBA? I want to know. I have my thoughts, and we're going to get to those in a little bit. But I want to know from some of you guys who should be on the MVP list as of right now, August 3rd, 2026. And the fact that it's August is insane to me, guys. Just so you understand, we're literally over halfway through the year. Like, that's crazy to me. But while you guys are answering those questions, we're going to talk about Kelsey Plum. Kelsey Plum, who we all know, okay, one of the best scorers come out of the women's college basketball realms, playing for the Washington Huskies, gets drafted to the Vegas Aces, has a couple rings, and hit free agency this summer and signs with the LA Sparks. Now, Kelsey Plum, obviously being the point guard she is, does what she does, did what she did. Went down to California with Cameron Brink, Rickea Jackson before all that trade happened. They were starting to light it up a little bit. Then Kelsey Plum gets hurt. Gets a knee injury, I believe, just before the All-Star break, if not maybe the first month before the All-Star break. And she was slated to be out for just about a month, so should have put her right back to playing just after the cut of the All-Star break. And then Kelsey Plum gets traded. For, like I said, gets drafted, gets a couple rings, goes down to California with Cameron Brink, Rickea Jackson, and then signs, well, not really signs, but gets traded. And I sit here and wonder, I guess I always wonder this when it comes to like trades across the board. It doesn't matter what sport in itself, but I almost wonder if Kelsey Plum has been what they call holding out. Obviously, if you know sports, like some players will hold out and say that they have an injury during training camp or during a break because they are waiting for a new contract. Whether it's during the trade deadline, whether it's during an off season before OTAs, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna pull up some of the information for you guys just so that way I can get it correct because my notes are on a whole different platform, but we're here though. Here are some answers to my questions in terms of the who we think should be on. Okay. Um, unless you make her the true point guard and move uh Kalia Copper back to the two, which I could see. Um, with this trade, and I think the other thing with this trade is that it happened so what seemed like spontaneously. Um, yeah, so kind of just to bear with me here, just to kind of paraphrase some of the uh, information here for this trade in terms of Kelsey Plum. And while I'm sitting here getting a lot of this information for you guys, drop your comments in the either here on this side or here on the TikTok. Do you think that the Phoenix Mercury made a good decision for Kelsey Plum? Could you see her going or see her going to the Mercury to now play with Alyssa Thomas, Clea Copper, and Dylan Bonner? I also find to be quite interesting here. And I'm not real again. I'm not real sure what the scope of that is. Maybe it's because the Phoenix Mercury are kind of in that awkward gray area where they're like on the cusp of making the top 8 to be in playoff contention, and it's very it, it it's kind of a toss up because the Phoenix Mercury have started out horribly this season. I have to call it out. Like they have not had the best start to the season, but it seems like as the season has progressed, they have been winning very close games and they have been losing very close games, which is right around where you want to start peaking when you're in that obviously in that realm of sport trying to make the cusp for the playoff rankings. So and here we go. And as we're looking here, like I said, bear with me. We had some issues going on. FLG, what's up? Welcome in. And like I said, thank you guys for joining me here. Okay. Mac Chuck in the morning ish, afternoon edition here. Got about 25 minutes left in the show. So, as I stated, so this offseason, Kelsey Plum becomes a free agent. So, you also have to understand that they also just lost, they being the Phoenix Mercury. Lost Monique McConney in the lottery pick as well, which was their lottery pick, which makes no sense to me. Like, why would you trade your lottery pick for Kelsey Plum? Again, not that Kelsey Plum isn't worthy of it, but I feel like they just got her super cheap, if that makes sense. Like, they got her super cheap, and it's kind of upsetting. But also, if you're the Phoenix Mercury, you don't have to draft for another point guard. Now, LA can go into this next draft with looking for people like Malaysia Fawiley and Ashlyn Watkins. Okay, coming out of the next draft, Juju Watkins as well. Okay, so there's still options there for LA to kind of pick up in terms of the draft and where they're trying to go. I see some comments here in the Facebook chat as well. I kind of wanted to see her as a Valkyrie, her as in Juju Watkins, her as in Kelsey Plum. There's so many ways this could go. I don't know if I could necessarily see KP as a Valkyrie. Honestly, I don't know where she fits in unless they bench like Caitlin Chen or possibly Kate Martin, but they just signed Kate Martin over from the Sparks. So I'm not sure how that would work, but I could also see if the Valkyrie still had Kate Martin, they put Kelsey Plum and Kate. That would be interesting. There's so many different scenarios this could be on one way, shape, or form. Kelsey. Okay, so you wanted to see Kelsey as a Valkyrie. Okay, that's fair. Running that show up there with veteran leadership, clutch buckets. Love Kate. That's fair. Kate Martin is great, but she's not KP. That's absolutely correct. I definitely agree with that sentiment. So I just think it's interesting, this whole scope of the Kelsey Plum trade to the Phoenix Mercury. But you never know. Sometimes when you add more veteranship to an already veteran stacked team with the Phoenix Mercury, it could end up being fireworks. I mean, if we're going to be realistic, the Phoenix Mercury haven't really had a true point guard without having to put a lot of the pressure on Cleo Copper, because obviously Cleo Copper can play the one or the two. That's the thing. I'm not knocking Cleo Copper at all. I love Cleo Copper, but I just feel like in the past couple seasons they have put a lot of pressure on her and not necessarily given her enough pieces, whether she's coming off the ball and has somebody to be able to handle that ball side switch like they like to run, or they have put her on the ball and have tried to maneuver a lot of their perimeter offense around her, which is fair when you have a player like Kalia Copper. It happens. I mean, it happens to a lot of the better players in the WNBA and the NBA as well. So it's just crazy to me. But listen, we're still here talking sports. Got my Dr. Pepper, got my water, had my coffee earlier before I hopped on with you. I appreciate you guys joining me here on the Mac Truck Podcast, Mac Truck in the morning ish. Okay, via the Underknown Network. It's been a little bit. I'm so glad to be here with you. Okay. Need you guys to do me a favor though. If you're here on the TikTok stream, go ahead and tap the screen, get your daily heart me, go ahead and share it out. If you're over here in StreamYard land and all the other accessible places you can get your podcast, please like, share, and subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Leave me a review, send me feedback. I would deeply appreciate it so much, because we're here to try to improve on the daily. We are back to doing daily shows. So for those of you who've been around for the Mac Truck Podcast for a while, you know that we started out this train doing daily audio shows before AI. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. We were doing this thing before AI. You can ask anybody in the Underknown Network that's been trying to get up here in the stratosphere of content creating. We've been around for a little bit, grinding, okay, every day, trying to find new ways to do better things. But we're here. Oh God, that Dr. Pepper's so good. Listen, this is gonna make for a great clip later. I'm gonna just tell you that right now. Listen, going to the baseball diamond, okay, specifically the unfortunateness that is the Detroit Tigers, and the more unfortunateness of them trading Tarik Skbual to the Dodgers. And as a Yankees fan, it honestly chaps me. I'm not going to lie, because the Yankees were also in that pool to get another great pitcher to add to their acing roster in terms of starters. It obviously irritates me, because like I'm sick of looking at the Dodgers. I'm sick of hearing about the Dodgers, but realistically, the Dodgers are one of the best teams in baseball. But you also have a two-way player named Shohei Ohtani, who happens to pitch and bat at in the same game, same inning, whatever you want to call that. And obviously, picking up Tarik Skbual takes a lot of that pressure off of Shohei Ohtani, rightfully so. Obviously, having that Tommy John surgery kind of set him back from pitching for about a year, season or two. So, for those of you who haven't been following this Tarik Skbual saga, if we will, because that's exactly what it's been. So essentially, he gets to Detroit, starts, obviously pitching like his arms on fire, becomes one of the most unhittable pitchers in baseball in a smaller franchise that's not exactly great with keeping assets. I mean, look at everybody that they've lost. Look at everybody that has come back up there to just retire for one day and not have the length of their career up there. But my question is why couldn't Detroit just fork over the money to keep him there? Like, he wanted to stay here. That's the thing about it, is he wanted to stay in Detroit, and y'all just let him go. For what? Like, what was the purpose of trading him? I don't, as a baseball fan, it irritates me. Even, I don't care if I'm a Yankees fan or not. As a baseball fan, it irritates me to see a lot of this really good talent just kind of being shipped around and like not used properly, and like the goal is to win a World Series, and you have to do that with defense, and you have to do that with a great ace pitcher like Tarik Skbual. So I don't understand why the Detroit Tigers felt the need to just like, oh, I'm going to screw my chances away. I'm going to, and even screwing your chances away to just even smell the pennant. Not that you're record has been great, because it has not. I mean, I don't have a record specifically in front of me right now. And there was about 5 teams in the sweepstakes for the Tarik Skbual present, if you will. The Yankees being one of them, the Mets being one of them, the Braves, I believe, being one of them, and obviously him landing with the Dodgers. But now lies the question: does adding Tarik Skbual to the Dodgers pitching roster, does that assure them another title? Like, do y'all think that this is going to get them to a back-to-back? I mean, and I personally can't say yes or no. Um, I, as a fan, I'm going to say no just because I'm salty. But as a realistic athlete, it's very possible. The more defense you have, the better. And I think that it's just the timing is interesting. Obviously, you wanted to do it before the deadline. We understand that. And I see some comments over here on the TikTok sphere. Yeah, I can't say that as a Giants fan. That's fair. Yeah, J Mac down here in the TikTok comments is all things Cali teams with the exception of the Dodgers. So I can't say that I blame him for feeling that way. And like I said, if you guys want some feedback, want to be shout out at the show, just drop a comment in either of the streams. And we're here for it. Thank you guys for joining. I appreciate it. Again, if you're over here in the TikTok sphere, go ahead and get your dailies and join the Mac Truck Tunnel Club, if you will. If you're over here on the StreamYard and everything else, I appreciate you for being here with me. Okay. Like I said, Mac Truck in the morning ish. We got things together, but we're only on here for another just about 15 minutes. So before we kind of keep it to the diamond in terms of the women's professional baseball opening day, which if you didn't get to catch any of that, you absolutely should have. And like I said, we're gonna get to that in just a second. But just with some of the details on the Tarik Skbual trade. Again, for those of you who are just we're talking about Tarik Skbual being traded to the trade. Like, who really won this trade? Is it the Dodgers because they picked up one of the best aces in baseball and they could just add more firepower to their roster, or is it the Tigers because now they can get rid of some of that cap space and kind of rebuild? Like how do you guys see this happening, or who do you think won this trade, I should say? And it's crazy to me because I feel like I said, I feel like this trade took entirely too long. I feel like it just was kind of drug out. If the Dodgers knew who they wanted, and the Tigers knew that Tarik Skbual wasn't going to possibly put in his best effort, obviously, in the midst of the trade details and contract holdout and all the things. So it's just interesting to me. But I mean, baseball is a forever moving thing. I mean, more baseball in terms of the MLB. Mason Miller is also on the trade rumors, and the New York Yankees are also on that team list in terms of sweepstakes for Mason Miller as well. So there's so much happening in the world of MLB. We still have Yankees injured. We still have the Boston Red Sox, who went on a 15-game win streak and lost, I believe, Saturday night after 15 straight games, and after starting the season horribly, starting the season with negative, like with a under 500 record, I should say. And sometimes I be forgetting how to talk. So obviously I need to get it together because we a little rusty, but it's all right here. And like I said, I'm just trying to get some of those contract details for you guys in terms of the trade, and I can't seem to find any hardcore ones. So once we get some more details, we'll circle back in the next show and kind of talk about those trade details as far as money and everything is concerned. But listen, like I said, we're moving into the last topic here on the Mac Truck podcast, Mac Truck in the morning. So like I said, I appreciate you guys joining us today here. And I see some comments here back over on the other stream feed, and there'll be trade deadline. But yeah, listen, the trade deadline itself has been extremely just wild in the best way. And like, I mean that wholeheartedly, just because there's so many moving parts in baseball. There's 185 games, it's a lot of time, a lot of trades, a lot of rumors, all of the things. And I always try not to get too excited unless I see something that's like mind blowing, like Tarik Skbual, or like an injury, or obviously like um the New York Yankees. Like I said, I'm primarily a Yankees fan, so like I center a lot of my like focus, at least when it comes to baseball, with the Yankees. But there's obviously those other teams out there that you can't not watch if you're an avid baseball fan. So the trade deadline always seems to be one of the most wild times in the summer, spring, and summer sports. So, and baseball is one of those ones where it, for those people who only watch football or who are primarily football heads, it's like baseball and the WNBA and the spring summer sports are great segues into back into the fall cycle. So it's always great to kind of just ingest baseball as a baseball fan, just kind of naturally and slow, just because it's the season itself is so long. Like it's so long, but NBA season's also that way. Okay. College football season now is definitely going to be that way. So, but we're moving in to the women's pro baseball opening day. And I have waited so long to talk about this just in its entirety. So, for those of you who don't know or don't remember, the Women's Pro Baseball League was first a thing in the 1970s. Okay. Women have been playing baseball, like actual stick and ball, not softball, not anything watered down. They've been playing baseball since the 1970s. I don't know if you guys remember the movie A League of Their Own. It's literally the inspiration for a lot of the things that we see happening now in terms of the Women's Baseball League. So for those of you who used to pay attention to the Little League World Series of Baseball, you may see a familiar face on the front of the website in Monet Davis. Monet Davis, there's no crying in baseball. Absolutely, FLG. Absolutely. And listen, I'm saying, like I said, I'm looking at all these comments here, and I appreciate you guys for joining us here. There is absolutely no crying in baseball. If you know, you know. If you don't, you're a schmo. I don't know what to tell you. But opening day was this weekend, and to see the stands filled over there is quite awesome. Like I didn't get to watch any of it just because I had a lot of stuff going on and all the things. But the fact that I got to go back and like see, they had some highlights on ESPN Top 10. They had them, obviously they're making headlines with it being opening day, and seeing some of the majority of the stands over there at Robin Roberts Stadium was fantastic to look at. And not to mention that the U.S. Women's World Baseball team also was out here just whooping on folks during the Classic. Like, it was probably the coolest thing I've seen. And now that the women's side of the game has baseball, it's something that I can add to the repertoire of things that we talk about, because sports is a never-ending thing, and I just, for one, I'm just completely enamored and excited for all things women's baseball. So here's a list of the teams right now as it currently stands. Los Angeles, San Francisco, Boston, and New York. Okay, the New York Hype, San Francisco Fire Bells, the Boston, let me see, and this is taking a little bit to load here, so kind of just flying with the seat of our pants with the rest of this one here. So, and all of their home games, for the record, are, like I said, are played in Chicago, Illinois at Robin Roberts Field Stadium, however you want to see that. And for those of you who don't know who Robin Roberts is, she obviously is a TV personality, huge advocate for women's sports, is on a national daytime news television show. And for copyright purposes, can't really say it out loud. So, but if you know and you pay attention, you understand who Robin Roberts is, and the fact that she has helped put her name on it and stamped it is fantastic to me. I love it. I love everything about this. The Boston Hunters, that's what they're called. I didn't want to misname them, but the Boston Hunters were out here this entire weekend. And Monet Davis was the first WPBL player to score in a game, obviously. And like I said, some of these highlights that I've been watching and just seeing come across my ticker have been nothing short of amazing. I'm for it. Need more of this. And obviously, as the more this league grows, the more there's going to be to talk about. There's going to be all kinds of just like championships, the pennant, like all the things that come with baseball are about to come with this. And I sincerely cannot wait. I don't know if you can tell. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Just my fandom for sports is growing, and I'm here for it. Like I said, you can also catch the Women's Pro Baseball League on the Four Letter Sports Network Plus. So ESPN Plus. And I like to use that little tagline, Four Letter Sports Network, because it's kind of dope. There's also a 3-letter Sports Network on Fox, CBS, like all the things. So you can get a lot of this information via some of those places and beyond. But guys, that's all I have for you today. At least on this morning's episode of Mac Truck in the Morning. Mac Truck in the Morning-ish. If you follow, if you know, you know. My name is Mac Truck. I appreciate you guys for joining me here. Like I said, you can follow everything that we got going on here on the Underknown Network. Make sure, first of all, you're following the Underknown Network, okay? Make sure you're following on the Mac. Make sure you're following the Mac Truck Pod. Make sure you're following Recognized Game. Comes back August 23rd. Get ready. We got all kind of stuff planned for that. So get ready. Make sure you're following, okay? Find out what that dude Biggs, okay? We're flying out. We're on the map. We're recognizing game, and we're here trucking it on the Mac Truck Podcast with the Underknown Network. Know that. Make sure you're following every social media, every page. Make sure you're giving your feedback, whether you want to or not. If you're a hater, that's fine. You're still watching. You're watching to see us fail, which we don't do that over here. For those of y'all over here in the StreamYard sphere, I appreciate it. For those of you here in the TikTok sphere, I appreciate it. We will be back tomorrow. Hopefully on time, partly, like I said, due to just some technical difficulties, but sometimes you can't control technical difficulties when you're in the world of technology. So for myself, like I said, I'm Mac Truck. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you very much for joining. If you're watching on the Facebook page, thank you very much for joining. If you're on the TikTok sphere, thank you very much for joining us today. Like I said, tomorrow will be better. We got everything together. So we're going to get it right, get it tight, and have a better show in the morning. For me, I am the Mac Truck. Thank you for joining us. Listen, drop the 5-star rating. If you don't, I'm inclined to believe you're a hater. Join the network. Subscribe to the network. Okay? All the things. Get your daily heart music if you're on the TikTok. Get your daily everythings with all the pages, by the way. Become a fan of everything, because that's how we get this thing to grow. But that's all I got for you today. Listen, stay tuned and stay sporty. See you on the next run.